seeking assistance of the public in relation to a series of intercepts that are believed to be illegitimate regarding two males in a white Commodore pulling over female motorists in the Brisbane area. The incidents so far reported have occurred on the late Monday night around midnight, leading into early Tuesday morning. The motorists have been pulled over by the white Commodore that has a red and blue flashing light, interior red and blue flashing light, and upon interception the males have approached the vehicle pretending to be police or acting like police. They've approached the drivers, asked for their driver's licences. On 3 occasions they've actually taken possession of the driver's licence, and they've retained it for some short time. The motorists have then been given back their licence and have travelled on. There's no assaults been taken place. There's been no attempt to make physical contact with the motorists. So in that regard, there's not a great cause for alarm. However, obviously, there's personal particulars on your driver's licence, and there is some concern about the security of that personal information. So police are seeking assistance for anyone that knows anything about these two males to contact police through Crime Stoppers on 1800 333 000 and advise us of what information they have. So far we have 4 complaints, 2 of which are in the Cleveland-Thornlands area, one which was at the Wollongabba area and another one at Aspley. And the 2 males involved are a male, and he's described as being in his 20s with unshaven facial hair, short light brown hair. He's described as being Caucasian with a slight potbelly. His assistant is another Caucasian male, about 24 years of age. He's got dark blonde curly hair. He's about 6 foot high and has a more slim toned physique. And the vehicle is a white Commodore, as I mentioned, with mags, silver and gold, possibly with a pinstripe down the side, very dark tinted windows, and obviously it has a red and blue flashing interior light. And police basically wanted people to know that if they do feel concerned that the person that's trying to intercept them, the unmarked vehicle trying to intercept them, is somehow not legitimate, it's well within their rights to continue to a place of safety. I would suggest that you let the pursuing vehicle know that you have acknowledged their existence by perhaps putting your indicator on. You can travel to a place that's more well lit, maybe more well populated, and pull over. And then if you're approached and you're still not sure whether it's a police officer or not, i.e. they're not wearing a uniform or haven't showed their identification, you're well within your rights to keep your doors locked, keep the windows up, and wait until you see some official identification before you actually engage the said police officer or whoever it is. There's nothing wrong with that. Police are aware that's a natural response, and if you require, you believe you need to see the identification, there's nothing wrong with you asking, because every officer will carry a police identification, such as this one here. That's an identification like that. They come in a leather wallet like that, and obviously it's got a photographic ID there and the metallic badge. If you ask for that, it should be presented. If you're not presented with an identification, well, obviously I'd suggest you call the police immediately and don't cooperate. And that, I believe, is basically the...
What sort of clothes were these 2 blokes wearing? Were they trying to look like plain clothes, or...?
Yeah, they certainly weren't trying to look like police officers. They weren't in anything that looked like a uniform. It was casual clothing. Police do casual clothing patrols at times, and I would suggest that these guys are wearing basic, as a gauge, just jeans and shirts. They weren't wearing anything to look like a police officer in that regard.
Do you have any idea where they would have got those flashing lights from? I mean, is it something that they would have had to bring from overseas, or...?
The lights, there's not a great specific description of the lights. They're just described as red and blue flashing lights. I mean, there's probably something you could make at home. I'm not too entirely sure, but yeah.
And were they sitting in the front or the back of the car?
What's that, sorry?
Were they sitting on the front dashboard, or were they at the back of the car?
They've been described as coming from the front dash area of the car.
Do you believe that women were actually targeted, or was it perhaps coincidental that all 4 people involved were...
There's no way of knowing what their motivations are. It just so happens that the 4 interceptions that we know of, the 4 reported anyway, are females. There may be males that have been intercepted just haven't reported it, so we don't know at this stage.
Could they just be having a bit of a laugh, thinking this is funny?
That is a possibility, but at the end of the day, if that's what it is, it's still concerning to the people involved, enough for them to call the police and alert us to it. So what might be funny to someone else is obviously concerning to others, and that's probably another message that needs to be portrayed as well.
It's a worrying trend, isn't it? I mean, this is twice in a week virtually that we've had people impersonating police.
Yeah, like I said, it could be a lark. At the moment, I don't see a great need for alarm. They haven't done anything, like haven't tried to do anything overt anyway in relation to at this stage. But we certainly don't want it to continue.
Is there anything to indicate that they may be linked to the impersonator on the Gold Coast?
They've got no indication of that.
You said they behaved like police officers. Did they actually walk up and identify themselves and say, I'm officer such and such, or was any things said?
They actually, no, more the manner in which they behaved and the questions they asked, rather than actually saying, I'm a police officer, they behaved like a traditional traffic stop or a driver's licence check.
The style of car that they drive, should that be a giveaway as well to people out there if they are pulled over by this car? It's not sounding like it's not a very sort of policey looking car. You're definitely on something there. Police obviously use very new cars. Most of our cars are less than a couple of years old, and by all reports this car is outside that range. So yes, that would be an indicator that if you're getting pulled over by a vehicle that looks a bit too old to be a police car, that's probably a good indicator. You might want to get to a place of safety, or even at that point you might want to try calling your local police. If it gets to the point that you're in fear of your life, or grave fear of your safety, I mean obviously AAA is another option too. But I'd strongly recommend for people that travel alone in their vehicles to have their local police station programmed into their phone on a speed dial perhaps. And if you need to, well, then it's just there. You don't have to think about what is the number. You can just call it, and just for peace of mind. It's making the real police's job harder. You don't want every person they pull over, they don't want to have to keep identifying themselves, or it just basically slows it up for you. Yeah.
People that have been in plain clothes and work in plain clothes permanently, such as myself, you are used to showing your identification. It's the first thing you do. We all plain clothes officers carry their ID, and they know they have to identify themselves. So, not so much. If someone, I've actually had a situation where a young lady had tried to intercept her in an industrial area that we're patrolling for break-and-enters. She drove blocks before she pulled over, and I was a bit puzzled at the time. And then when she finally pulled over at the set of lights at the main road, and she kept the window up, and she explained to me that she just wasn't sure. So, I mean, I was in jeans and a t-shirt. We're doing a surveillance patrol, and it's exactly the scenario we're talking about here. And I don't have a problem with it at all. I understood it as soon as she said, I just wasn't sure whether you're really police. And I went, oh, that's fair enough. So,
what's the penalty for impersonating a police officer?
You probably have to talk to a prosecutor about that one. There's not been a lot of cases, but I don't know off the top of my head.
In relation to the vehicle, do you know anything more specific than older style, which is the description that we've had?
I wouldn't want to restrict it to older style. It all depends on your knowledge of cars, whether you can give a good age on a car. The models haven't changed dramatically, but
90s, 80s?
It's been described as 5 to 8 years, whereas other ones said it's not very old. So, unless you know your cars, how can you really narrow the range? Yeah. It's a white Commodore, is what we're running with, and it's got mag wheels and tinted. It's a white Commodore, definitely with very dark tinted windows, and obviously males matching the description of the comfits we're giving out. We've got 2 comfits now. The second one will be available after this briefing.
Yeah, with the car, I'm just obviously trying to nail a picture. If we can put one up tonight, so if I know it's a model around 205 to 202 or something like that.
Yeah, look, I really wouldn't want to narrow that range because we do have, we have no consistency in description of the age of the car.
Yep.
So, if we put up a picture of one car, well then you rule out people think, oh, well that's not old mate because he doesn't drive one of those cars. His car's older.
Yeah, so it's not specific.
Yeah.
How these complaints came to light? Is there anything that links all 4 where they all said, look, I noticed the car and it didn't look like it was a police car, that's why I've called. Has there been anything specific that's been the dead giveaway?
Well, the timings, they happen all within about 2-hour period of each other.
maybe 3 tops. The description of one of the males is consistent, or one of the males, the comfit that's being provided this afternoon with the curly hair, that's consistent over 2 intercepts. On one of those intercepts, 2 males were seen, and that description of the second male is consistent with the comfit you've already got with the pot belly. And the car, and just, well, you don't hear about these sort of stories every day, so we believe they're the same.
I guess what I meant was for the I guess let's call them the victims. Has there been a sort of a dead giveaway? Was there a dead giveaway each time for all these people that have been pulled over? Did they realise, hey, that didn't look like a police car or something like that?
There was I'd say there's a casualness about it, and perhaps what you suggested with the car, I'm not too sure. I'm not one of the victims, but there was one occasion where they were asked for identification and failed or refused to provide it. That obviously raised a question mark in that person's head.
You said that look, this very well could be a lark, but even considering that, are you concerned about copycats at all? And is this the second one that we have seen in the southeast this week?
Yeah, look, there's not too much we can particularly do about copycats other than suggest to them that this is serious, and anyone that hears of people bragging about doing something such as this, or if they happen to see it on Facebook or something like that, well, would strongly suggest that information needs to be passed on to us, and we need to point out to these people that it's concerning to the people involved, and it does slightly make our job a little harder. But as I said, that we don't mind that, but we certainly don't want to be investigating these sort of instances too often.
I realise you said before that you don't know the specific penalty for doing something like this, but they'll certainly be prosecuted, won't they?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
It's not like they're just going to get a tut-tut. This is more than just a lark, isn't it?
Oh, no, it's an offence under the Criminal Code to impersonate anybody, and obviously a police officer's position of authority, it'll be taken far more seriously than just a normal impersonation.
Just with that personal information being obtained, is there a fear there that this could lead to fraud as well?
There's no indication of that. There's no cause to be alarmed about that. But, I mean, people, your information's on your driver's licence. They don't retain it for very long. There's no indication that is where they're going with this. But, that's always a concern. Your driver's licence is a document that we have authority to ask you for, but you generally only give it to people that you want to give it to and you trust.
Do you think of any other motivation for doing this?
I'm not entirely sure. I haven't really got a good answer for that one. So.
The women involved, are they quite concerned about the fact that they've given their details to these 2 people?
No, the motorists I've spoken to haven't raised it as being a big problem, a big concern to them. It's just more of a public safety announcement, I suppose, or perhaps just a message to the people that are doing it that there are reasons why people might get alarmed about this. If it is just a lark, it's not very funny.